Hey guys, today we're talking about a drama film and a documentary film. The drama film we're talking about is Star, starring Kate Blanchett and directed by Todd Field. Todd Field hasn't done that many movies, but he's apparently very thoughtful about the kind of projects he does. I think he has also done, television and such. So he tries to do a little bit of everything, and I do think that his choices are very particular and very interesting. In this case, he tells the story of a female conductor of a symphony, of an orchestra, and how she's like trying to finish this process she has started of doing Gustav Mahler's symphonies. I don't really know a lot about music, so take a time with me because I don't really know all the words, but she's basically trying to complete his work and reinterpreting his work in a series of recordings, and she's planning the release of those that into streaming, basically not really a physical copy but like digital copies of that. And she's doing a concert, and she has a wife, and she has a little bit she has this assistant, and she has a very successful life. She does lectures in colleges, and it's very interesting how things start to crumble, but we are so much from her point of view, basically, that we see things crumble but slowly, and we see it from her perspective, and maybe from another perspective it would have been like obvious that everything is crumbling down and around her, but as we are in her perspective, we have like little signs of things that are not doing great, that she isn't really noticing, because as a person in power, she is very self-centered and very self-absorbed, in the sense that she doesn't really care much about what happens around her. And when she finally starts seeing what is happening around her, it's too late, and she's caught up in things that she has built for herself, basically. I mean, this movie deals with sexual harassment. This movie deals with psychological trauma and physical even trauma. This movie handles, how it is for a person in power to be in power, to possess that power and to use that power, and how that power can be mishandled. And also it talks about how in little communities like the classical music community of the world, which is small in its numbers, how power can be, a really big tool in order to put things in one side or the other, if that makes any sense. I mean, it's really interesting how you see this world, and this world of classical music is just an example of many worlds around the world. The business world, the music world, the cinema, film industry, all of that, in which the same things always happen, that people abuse their power and think they will never get no one will get them for it, basically, and they will eventually. It always happens, and there are many lines. I think the screenplay for this movie is really fantastic. It's really self-aware. In many instances they speak about what the movie is about. It's not really mumbling. At the start they are talking in many musical terms, and of course if you don't know music like me, it's really difficult to follow at the start of the movie. The first half hour is really dense in that sense, but then you see her other lives around the musical industry, the classical music industry, and you understand why that is important, the jargon, and how they are very specific about the conductors and the things that are going on behind the scene, and all of that is really important to the movie. And of course, at the center of the whole movie is Kate Blanchett and her performance. I have to say that having watched this performance, I was doubtful before that it was such a fantastic performance as people have been saying. And she has won tons of awards. She won the Golden Globe, I think. She won the Critics' Choice. She won. She has won. Sorry, many critics prizes. And people are like, oh, is she winning the Oscar again? This will be her third Oscar, the second for Best Leading Actress. So I have to say that I agree. She does give a fantastic performance, and it's not only how she embodies the character, but how she immerses herself in the world of the character and makes it come alive. I think that's very interesting, and how she shows what it is like to be a woman, but also a woman in power, but also a lesbian woman, but also a woman of music, a woman of power, a woman of might, a woman that thinks that whatever she does, everyone will bow, but she then realizes that they're not going to bow anymore. And that's very interesting. And Kate Blanchett is a fantastic actress. She's one of the best actresses ever, to be honest. She's just amazing. And this might be, I thought Blue Jasmine was her best performance ever, but I think this might top it, and that's very interesting. Is it better than Michelle Yeoh's performance in Everything Everywhere All at Once? I would say they are equally great because they're so different movies. I mean, I think many people are going to watch Everything Everywhere All at Once and just understand everything and have a great time. But this movie is very different because this movie is not made for everyone. This movie will tire people and will annoy people and will make people go like, whatever. I mean, who the fuck cares? And I understand that because this is a movie for movie enthusiasts, like film enthusiasts and screenplay enthusiasts and music enthusiasts, but not really a movie for the masses. So I would understand that completely, and that's very okay. But you would miss the power of the performance of Kate Blanchett and how she crumbles. For everything that is good in this screenplay, there are things that annoy me in the screenplay that are very small, but that don't really gel at the end of the movie. I mean, the end of the movie, the final scenes that happen in the Philippines, I think, I won't spoil them, but I think they're almost insulting, not only to the character, but also to the people watching and to maybe other moviegoers that are not going to watch this movie. I think the final scene was completely unnecessary. I don't think it really makes any sense. I mean, I have to watch interviews or something in order for Todd Field to explain a little bit this, because I didn't really understand why he chooses to do what he chooses to do in the final scenes of the movie. Also, this movie deals again with sexual harassment, and something that I have always been very annoyed is that, yeah, you take down these mostly men that abuse their power and abuse physically women or men or whatever it is, and you never see the consequences for the people that helped the person in power to do what they did. Because, for example, in the movie, Kate Blanchett does whatever the fuck she wants, and it's obvious that many people around her know that she does what she does. People know that she abuses her power, but at the end they just drop her because she becomes violent, and they just disappear and they just shun her and don't want to have anything to do with her anymore. And I'm like, what I would have liked to see a little bit more of that, of how were accomplices of what she did, and they dropped her because that's how society is. They love to support someone that is evil and that's doing something wrong, but once that person is caught, they're like, oh, I didn't do anything, goodbye. So I would have liked a little bit more of that part. But there are so many beautiful things in this movie. The sound, I don't know why this movie wasn't nominated for sound, because it's glorious. The sound design here is fantastic. The score also fantastic by Hildur Guðnadóttir, who is actually named in the movie, which was kind of funny. But she did an amazing score, and it wasn't nominated for an Academy Award. Like, what the fuck? A movie about a composer, it's kind of stupid. This movie is also nominated for cinematography, which I have to say I don't understand, because it's actually a very boring cinematography, except for some use of the light and so on, and some shots that are very interesting. But most of the shots have the horizon in the middle, and they're very boring, very still. So I don't understand that nomination. That should have gone for Top Gun Maverick, to be honest, but whatever. Of course, again, Kate Blanchett's performance, it's amazing. Will she win? I don't know. I will do a video about my predictions for the Oscars, but we will talk there. This won't win Best Picture. Maybe it will win Best Director, but because it's not, again, a movie for the masses, a movie that everyone can celebrate forever, but it's a very interesting movie and a very enticing movie, and it really talks about things that we are afraid to talk about. I mean, there are some conversations in this movie that are fantastic monologues by Kate Blanchett. The last thing I will say is that she gives this speech at Juilliard to a student that basically he's saying that he doesn't want to do Bach, the composer Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach, I think his name is, and she's asking like, why don't you want to do like this great musician? And he's like, oh well, because he's a white cisgender male that had a bunch of wives and he was an awful person. And she's like, what? Like, we're doing music here. We're doing music here. We're not doing the person. We're doing music here. And I have to say, it was the first time in 2 times in one night that I agreed with something someone said, that apparently it has to be perceived as a bad thing. But I thought it was fantastic what she said. And I agree with her. And I'm a gay guy. And I wouldn't do what that guy said. So I thought it was very interesting. The other time I felt the same thing was a speech by the character Kathleen in The Last of Us. I actually agreed with her, and apparently everyone thinks that what she said was awful, but I was like, you're kind of right. But whatever. I think this movie is amazing, and if you want to catch it, just do it, just watch it. But you have to be a film enthusiast, because this movie is 2 hours and 30 minutes. The other movie I'm going to talk about really fast is All That Breathes, which is a documentary that tells the story of 2 brothers in India, in New Delhi, that take care of birds, basically. I mean, it's a specific type of bird, which name I have forgotten, but I have to say that this documentary is beautiful. I mean, this movie, I'm talking about cinematography, this is beautiful cinematography. It's just gorgeous how it really portrays the pollution, the contamination, the horrible state of life, to be honest, in New Delhi, in India, but also how beautiful the story is about these 2 guys and their assistant who try to preserve life in these, conditions that are not really meant for life to thrive. And I thought that was so gorgeous. I mean, the camera there is just like a witness to what happens, and it's really not like a rehearsed thing, not like other documentaries I've talked about recently that were not really that great. This movie is just beautiful because it's just what happens. It's just unpredictable. It's just beautiful how it shows life, because it's named All That Breathes. And every so often we see images of animals living in the city, living in the scum, living in the dirt, living in the garbage. And it's beautiful. And and watching this movie, you realize, like, oh my God, what have we done to our world? What are we doing this? What do we keep doing this? And what do we keep fighting about things that don't make any fucking sense? Because in this movie, they talk about people killing each other because they are different religions. And you're like, really? Why? Why are you killing each other for that? And look what's happening. There are mountains of garbage. People that can eat, people that can sustain themselves, animals that drop from the sky because the sky is full of shit, basically. And that's so shocking, but also so beautiful in a way. I saw this in HBO Max. Maybe, I don't know if it's available everywhere in HBO Max, but I saw it there, and I thought it was a fantastic documentary because it shows us what happens. It doesn't preach. It doesn't like reinforce things. It's not like interviewee, which I always think it's kind of lame from a documentary. It's just what happens. It's just life. And life is not really in its best moments, apparently, in the world, according to this documentary, and we know, but it gives us a little bit of hope that there are some people that are trying hard to make this world, a little bit more than the shit we're in right now. So it's a beautiful documentary. You have to watch it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I do recommend both movies that I talked about. Please comment down below whatever you think about them, if you have seen them. Like this video, share it everywhere you want, and we will see each other very soon. Thank you so much. Goodbye.